The notification chimed on Marcus Chen's phone at exactly 11:47 p.m. Just as he finished reviewing the final merger documents that would make him one of the youngest tech billionaires in Silicon Valley. The blue glow illuminated his exhausted face in the empty conference room of Chen Dynamics. His revolutionary AI company that had just been acquired by Google for $2.8 billion, he almost ignored it. Almost. But the name on the screen made his finger hover over the notification. LinkedIn. Message from Bradley Thompson. Marcus's jaw tightened. Bradley Thompson. The same Bradley who had swept Sarah off her feet 3 years ago, right after she'd laughed in Marcus's face when he'd said he'd be rich someday. The same Bradley who'd made a point of flaunting his BMW and his marketing director's salary whenever their paths crossed in their small California town. The message was brief. Hey Marcus, heard about your success. Wondering if you might have any openings at your company? I have extensive experience in marketing and business development. Would love to discuss opportunities. Marcus leaned back in his leather chair, a slow smile spreading across his face. The irony was almost too perfect to be real. You're going to be rich? Sarah's laughter had echoed through the coffee shop, sharp and cutting. Marcus, you work at a call center and code on weekends? That's not exactly a path to riches. Marcus had tried to explain his AI project. The revolutionary algorithm he'd been developing that could predict market trends with unprecedented accuracy. But Sarah's eyes had already glazed over, her attention shifting to her phone. Look, I think we should see other people, she'd said, not even bothering to look up. I need someone more ... stable, more realistic about their future. 2 weeks later, she'd posted photos with Bradley Thompson, all smiles and expensive dinners. Marcus had deleted social media that day and thrown himself into his work with the fury of a man who had something to prove. Marcus's fingers drummed against his desk as he stared at Bradley's message. The 3 years since Sarah's departure had been a blur of 18-hour days, failed prototypes, and countless rejections from investors who couldn't understand his vision. The breakthrough had come 14 months ago when his AI successfully predicted the GameStop surge, then the crypto crash, then the tech rally that followed. Word spread quickly through Silicon Valley's tight-knit community. Venture capitalists who had once dismissed him as a weekend warrior suddenly returned his calls. Chen Dynamics had grown from Marcus's garage startup to a 50-person company. Occupying 3 floors of a downtown San Francisco high-rise, the AI system now managed portfolios worth over $50 billion. With a success rate that made Wall Street legends look like amateurs, and now Google wanted to buy him out. Marcus pulled up Bradley's LinkedIn profile, the marketing director position at a mid-sized consulting firm. The carefully crafted posts about networking and thought leadership that screamed of someone desperately trying to appear more successful than they were. He crafted his response carefully. Bradley, thanks for reaching out. I'd be happy to discuss potential opportunities. Are you available for a call tomorrow at 2 p.m.? The reply came within minutes. Absolutely. Thank you so much for considering me. Marcus smiled. Phase 1 was complete. What do you think will happen next? Share your predictions in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling stories. The next afternoon, Marcus adjusted his tie as he waited for Bradley's call. Through his floor-to-ceiling windows, he could see the San Francisco Bay stretching toward the horizon, reminder of how far he'd come from that cramped apartment where he'd coded until his eyes burned. His assistant, Jennifer, knocked softly. Mr. Chen, Bradley Thompson is on line 1. Put him through. Marcus took a deep breath, his game face sliding into place. Marcus, man, it's so good to hear from you. Bradley's voice carried that same forced enthusiasm Marcus remembered from their brief encounters around town. I have to say, I'm incredibly impressed with what you've built. Chen Dynamics is making waves everywhere. Thank you, Bradley. I appreciate that. Marcus kept his tone professional, neutral. Jennifer mentioned, You're interested in exploring opportunities with us? I've been following your success story, and I think my background in marketing and business development could be a real asset to your team. I've been working on some innovative strategies that could really scale your brand presence. Laughed. Bradley had no idea what Chen Dynamics actually did beyond the vague AI company description in the press releases. That's interesting. Tell me, what do you know about our current market position? A pause. Well, you're obviously crushing it in the AI space. Huge growth potential, especially with the Google acquisition rumors. The Google acquisition wasn't a rumor anymore. It was done, signed, and sealed. But Marcus let that slide.
I
See. And what makes you think you'd be a good fit for our culture? I'm a go-getter, Marcus. Always have been. Know how to hustle, how to make things happen. Plus, I've got connections throughout the industry that could really benefit your expansion plans. Marcus made a note on his pad, buzzword bingo champion. Well, Bradley, I think we should meet in person. Are you available to fly out to San Francisco tomorrow? Tomorrow? Absolutely. I can be there first thing in the morning. Perfect. I'll have my assistant send you the details. One thing, though, this is a very competitive process. We're looking for someone exceptional, of course. I wouldn't expect anything less. Marcus, I really appreciate this opportunity. I know I can add tremendous value to your team. After ending the call, Marcus sat back in his chair, already planning the next phase. This wasn't just about a job interview. It was about something much more satisfying. Bradley arrived at Chen Dynamics headquarters, wearing his best suit. The one he'd bought for job interviews that had led nowhere over the past 6 months. That sleek lobby with its minimalist design and expensive artwork made him feel both impressed and intimidated. Mr. Thompson. A professional-looking woman approached him. I'm Jennifer, Mr. Chen's assistant, and he's ready for you now. Bradley followed her through a maze of open-concept workspaces where young, focused employees worked on multiple monitors, their screens filled with complex algorithms and data. Visualizations that looked like something from a sci-fi movie. Marcus's office was a study in understated success. No flashy displays of wealth, but everything from the furniture to the view screamed money. Marcus stood behind his desk, extending his hand with a warm smile. Bradley, great to see you in person. Please, have a seat. Marcusa, thank you so much. For this opportunity, your office is incredible, and the team downstairs, wow, you've really built something special here. Thank you. We're proud of what we've accomplished. Marcus gestured to the chair across from his desk. So, tell me about your experience. What would you say is your biggest professional achievement? Bradley launched into a rehearsed spiel about a marketing campaign that had increased client engagement by 30%. It was his go-to interview story, polished and practiced. Marcus listened with the appearance of interest, occasionally nodding and asking follow-up questions. Inside, he was cataloging every exaggeration, every stretched truth, every desperate attempt to sound more impressive than the reality. That's fascinating, Marcus said when Bradley finished. Now I'm curious about your thoughts on our industry. Where do you see AI technology heading in the next 5 years? Bradley's answer was a collection of buzzwords and generic predictions he'd clearly pulled from tech blogs. Machine learning, disruption, synergy, paradigm shifts all strung together. With the confidence of someone who hoped enthusiasm could mask ignorance. Interesting perspective, Marcus said, making another note. Now, Bradley, I have to ask what made you reach out to me specifically. I mean, we haven't exactly kept in touch over the years. For the first time, Bradley's confidence wavered slightly. Well, I've always respected your work ethic. Even back in the day, you were always working on something, always pushing forward. I guess I saw an opportunity to be part of something bigger. Back in the day, Marcus repeated slowly. You mean when I was dating Sarah? The color drained from Bradley's face. He'd clearly hoped Marcus wouldn't bring up their personal history. Yes. Look, Marcus, I hope there are no hard feelings about hard feelings? Marcus leaned forward, his expression unreadable. About what exactly? About Sarah and me. I know the timing was ... complicated. Marcus let the silence stretch until Bradley began to fidget. Actually, Bradley, I wanted to thank you. Thank me. Absolutely. You see, if Sarah hadn't left me, for you, I might never have had the motivation to build all this. Marcus gestured around his office. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to a person is getting their heart broken by someone who can't see their potential. Bradley's nervous laugh sounded forced. Well, I'm glad it worked out for you. You've clearly done amazingly well for yourself. I have, Marcus agreed. Which brings me to something I'm curious about. How is Sarah these days? The question hit Bradley like a physical blow. His face went red, and he started to stammer. We're. Actually, we're not together anymore. Oh, Marcus raised an eyebrow. I'm sorry to hear that. What happened? Things just ... didn't work out. Different life goals, you know? Marcus nodded sympathetically, though he already knew the real story. He'd kept tabs on them through mutual friends, not out of lingering feelings, but out of simple curiosity. Sarah had left Bradley 6 months ago when his marketing firm had downsized and he'd lost his job. Apparently, she'd found someone new, a real estate developer with a much more impressive portfolio. Well, I'm sure you'll find someone who appreciates you, Marcus said with mock sincerity. Now, about the position. The tension is building. If you're enjoying this story, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which character you're rooting for. Your support helps me create more incredible stories like this one. The position, Marcus continued, is actually quite unique. You see, Bradley, I've been thinking about expanding into new markets. I need someone who really understands the value of persistence, of not giving up when things get tough. Bradley leaned forward eagerly. That's exactly what I bring to the table. I'm not someone who gives up easily. Good. Because this role would involve a lot of travel, long hours, and frankly, some situations that might test your flexibility. I'm ready for anything, Marcus smiled. Excellent. Position is in our new Southeast Asian division, based in Manila, with frequent travel to rural areas where we're implementing our AI systems for agricultural prediction. The salary is $45,000 per year, plus basic housing allowance. Bradley's face fell. 45,000? But I thought, this is Chen Dynamics. Don't you usually pay more? Marcus finished. We do, for the right people. But this is an entry-level position, Bradley. You'd be starting at the bottom, learning the business from the ground up. I believe in earning your success, don't you? The irony wasn't lost on either of them. Bradley had spent 3 years enjoying the fruits of what he thought was a better choice, while Marcus had been earning his way to the top. I don't know if I can relocate internationally right now, Bradley said weakly. Of course I understand. Marcus stood up, extending his hand. Oh, it was great seeing you again, Bradley. I hope everything works out for you. Bradley shook his hand, clearly realizing the opportunity was slipping away. Wait, Marcus. Maybe we could discuss other options. Surely there's something here in the States. Marcus paused, as if considering. Well, there is one other possibility. We need someone for our customer service department. Phone support, handling complaints, that sort of thing. It's minimum wage, but it's local. The suggestion was deliberately insulting. Bradley had started his career in customer service and had spent years trying to escape it. The idea of returning to that level, especially at a company run by someone he'd once considered beneath him, was humiliating. I think I need to consider my options, Bradley said, his voice tight. Of course, take your time. Relax. Marcus walked him to the door, and Bradley, give Sarah my regards, would you? Actually, Marcus, Sarah and I aren't. Oh, that's right. You mentioned that. Marcus's smile was sharp. I'm sure you'll land on your feet. You always seem to. After Bradley left, Marcus returned to his office and pulled up the signed acquisition documents. Tomorrow, the deal would be announced publicly. Chen Dynamics would become a wholly owned subsidiary of Google, with Marcus staying on as CEO and receiving a payout that would make him one of the youngest billionaires in tech history. His phone buzzed. A text from his girlfriend, Dr. Amanda Rodriguez, a brilliant neuroscientist he'd met at a conference 6 months ago. How did the interview go? Marcus typed back. Exactly as expected. Dinner at 7 to celebrate. Can't wait to hear the details. I'll bring champagne, Marcus smiled, thinking about how different his life had become. Amanda was everything Sarah hadn't been supportive. Brilliant. Genuinely interested in his work rather than just his success. She'd been the one who'd encouraged him to take some satisfaction in Bradley's reversal of fortune. It's not about revenge, she'd said when he'd told her about the LinkedIn message. It's about showing people that their judgment of you says more about them than about you. His assistant knocked. Mr. Chen. There's a call from TechCrunch. They want to confirm the Google acquisition announcement for tomorrow. Put them through. Yes. Marcus handled the call. He found himself thinking about the path that had led him here. The late nights, the rejections, the moments of doubt when Sarah's laughter had echoed in his mind. Every setback had been fuel for the fire that had driven him to succeed. The acquisition announcement would hit the news tomorrow morning. By noon, every tech publication in the world would be running stories about the garage startup that became a billion-dollar empire. Marcus Chen would be profiled in Forbes, interviewed on CNBC, and invited to speak at conferences around the globe, and somewhere in Sacramento. Bradley Thompson would be reading those articles and remembering the man he'd once dismissed as a dreamer. The next morning, Marcus woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The Google acquisition had been announced at 6 a.m. Eastern, and the tech world was buzzing. His phone rang as he was making coffee. Unknown number. Marcus. Marcus. It's Sarah. He almost hung up. Almost. Sarah. What can I do for you? I just saw the news, Marcus. I wanted to congratulate you. What you've built is incredible. Thank you. I also wanted to apologize for how things ended between us. I was wrong about you, about your potential. I can see that now. Marcus took a sip of his coffee, letting the silence stretch. Sarah, I appreciate the call, but that was a long time ago. We both moved on. I know, but I need you to know that I regret how I handled things. You deserved better. I got better, Marcus said simply. I hope you're happy, Sarah. I really do. After he hung up, Marcus realized he meant it. The anger that had driven him for so long had finally burned itself out, leaving only a sense of completion. The rest of the day was a whirlwind of interviews, meetings, and congratulations. By evening, Marcus was exhausted, but exhilarated. He'd proven everyone wrong, including himself. Amanda arrived at his penthouse apartment with champagne and a proud smile. So, how does it feel to be officially a billionaire? Surreal. Marcus admitted, pulling her into his arms, but also liberating. I don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore, including yourself. He considered the question, especially myself. They toasted on his balcony overlooking the city, the lights of San Francisco twinkling below them like earthbound stars. Marcus thought about the scared, heartbroken man he'd been 3 years ago and barely recognized him. There's something else, Amanda said, pulling a small velvet box from her purse. I know this is supposed to be the man's job, but I figured a woman who's about to win the Nobel Prize in neuroscience can break a few traditions. Marcus stared at the box, his mouth falling open. Amanda, are you? Marcus Chen, will you marry me? The laughter that burst from him was pure joy, nothing like Sarah's cruel mockery from years ago. Yes, yes, absolutely yes. As they kissed, Marcus felt the last piece of his old life fall away. He'd thought this moment would be about revenge, about proving Sarah and Bradley wrong. Instead, it was about something much better, building a future with someone who loved him for who he was, not what he'd achieved. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the same coffee shop where Sarah had laughed at his dreams. He was there for a very different reason. Now Chen Dynamics was opening a new office in Sacramento. He was meeting with the mayor about a partnership that would bring 500 tech jobs to the area. The cafe hadn't changed much. Marcus barely recognized the man who'd sat here 3 years ago, nursing his broken heart and wounded pride. Marcus. He turned to find Bradley Thompson standing behind him, looking older and more worn than he had during their office meeting. The expensive suit was gone, replaced by khakis and a polo shirt. Bradley, how are you? Good, better, actually. Smile seemed more genuine than Marcus remembered. I wanted to thank you. Thank me? For the wake-up call. That interview, the job offer in Manila, ... It made me realize I'd been coasting for years, thinking I deserved success without earning it. Marcus studied his face, looking for signs of insincerity. What did you do? I took a sales job at a startup. 80% commission, no guaranteed salary. It was terrifying, but it forced me to actually work for what I wanted. Bradley's grin was self-deprecating. Turns out I'm pretty good at it when I'm not relying on charm and connections. And now I'm launching my own company? Nothing. As ambitious as what you built, but it's mine. I'm working with small businesses to help them implement basic AI tools for inventory management. Inspired by your work, actually. Marcus felt a smile tugging at his lips. That's great, Bradley. Really? I also wanted to apologize for how things went down with Sarah. I knew she was with you when I asked her out, and I should have respected. That water under the bridge, Marcus said, and meant it. We all make mistakes when we're young. Bradley hesitated, then added, She asked me to give you a message, actually. She's engaged to someone new and wanted you to know she's happy. She also said to tell you she's proud of what you've accomplished. Marcus nodded. I'm glad she's happy. That's what matters. After Bradley left, Marcus sat in his old booth and thought about the strange turns life could take. 3 years ago, he'd been a broken man with nothing but a dream and a devastating work ethic. Now he was married to an incredible woman, running a company that was changing the world, and genuinely at peace with his past. His phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. How's the Sacramento trip? Missing you already. Can't wait to hear about your day. And Marcus typed back. Better than expected. Coming home tonight. Love you. As he walked out of the cafe, Marcus caught his reflection in the window. The man looking back at him was confident, successful, and genuinely happy. Not because he'd proven his enemies wrong, but because he'd discovered who he really was when everything was stripped away. The best revenge, he'd learned, wasn't showing people how wrong they'd been about you. It was becoming so completely yourself that their opinions stopped mattering entirely. 2 years after the acquisition, Marcus stood before a crowd of 500 graduates at his alma mater, delivering the commencement address. The awkward call center worker, who'd once coded in his spare time, was now being introduced as one of the most influential entrepreneurs of his generation. I want to tell you about the power of being underestimated, he began, his voice carrying easily across the outdoor amphitheater. 3 years ago, someone I cared about told me I was unrealistic about my future. She wasn't trying to be cruel. She was looking at the evidence and making a logical conclusion. He paused, scanning the sea of young faces. The evidence was that I worked at a call center. I lived in a tiny apartment. I had no connections, no trust fund, no obvious path to success. By every conventional measure, she was right to doubt me. But here's what she didn't understand, and what I hope you'll remember: success isn't about where you start. It's about how you respond to the people who tell you to start smaller, dream smaller, become smaller. The audience was completely silent, hanging on his words. I could have listened to her. I could have accepted that my dreams were too big, that I should be more realistic. Instead, I decided to prove her wrong. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I wanted to prove something to myself. Marcus's voice grew stronger. Phone call where she laughed at my dreams. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. Not because it felt good, it felt terrible, but because it forced me to confront a fundamental question. Was I going to let other people's limited vision of my potential define my life? He looked out at the crowd, remembering his own graduation day when he'd felt lost and uncertain about his future. Some of you will face similar moments. Someone will tell you your startup idea is stupid. Your boss will pass you over for a promotion. Your family will suggest you choose a more practical career. And in that moment, you'll have a choice. You can shrink to fit their expectations, or you can use their doubt as fuel to exceed them. The applause started slowly, then built to a thunderous ovation. Marcus smiled, thinking about how far he'd come from that heartbroken man in the coffee shop after the ceremony. Marcus was approached by a young woman with bright eyes and a nervous smile. Mr. Chen, I'm Sarah Martinez, computer science major. I just wanted to say thank you for your speech. I've been working on an AI project for environmental monitoring. Everyone keeps telling me it's too ambitious for someone my age. Marcus's smile was warm. Can I give you some advice, Sarah? Please. The people who tell you something is too ambitious are usually the ones who never tried anything ambitious themselves. Trust your instincts, work harder than everyone else, and remember the best revenge against doubt is success. As she walked away, inspired and determined, Marcus felt a deep sense of satisfaction. This was what real success looked like. Not the money or the recognition, but the ability to inspire others to reach for their own impossible dreams. His phone buzzed. "Amanda, watching the live stream, you're amazing. Can't wait to celebrate with you tonight." Marcus smiled, pocketing his phone. He had a plane to catch, a wife to get home to, and a future to build. The boy who'd been laughed at for his dreams had become a man who helped others achieve theirs. And that, he realized, was the best revenge of all, not just succeeding, but using that success to lift others up. In the end, the people who doubted him had done him a favor. They'd shown him exactly who he didn't want to become. As Marcus walked toward his car, felt genuinely grateful for every rejection, every laugh, every moment of doubt. That all been stepping stones on the path to becoming the man he was meant to be. The last laugh, it turned out, wasn't about proving anyone wrong. It was about proving yourself right. The cherry blossoms were in full bloom around the Stanford campus as Marcus Chen walked hand in hand with his 3-year-old daughter, Lily. Amanda was back at the lab working on her latest breakthrough in neural interfaces, while Marcus had taken the afternoon off to attend a very special event.
Addie.
"Why are we going to see Uncle Bradley?" Lily asked, her dark eyes curious. "Because Uncle Bradley is giving a very important talk today," Marcus explained. Adjusting her tiny backpack, they found seats in the packed auditorium where Bradley Thompson was about to deliver his keynote address at the Stanford Entrepreneurship Summit. The title of his talk, "From Failure to Foundation: How Losing Everything Taught Me to Build Something Real." Marcus watched as Bradley took the stage. It's no longer the cocky marketing director who'd once flaunted his BMW. The man who addressed the crowd was confident but humble, his success earned through genuine hard work. "5 years ago, I was unemployed, recently dumped, desperate enough to ask my ex-girlfriend's ex-boyfriend for a job." Bradley began, earning nervous laughter from the audience. "That man had every reason to humiliate me. Instead, he gave me something more valuable, a mirror?" Marcus smiled, remembering that awkward interview. Bradley's small AI consulting firm had grown into a company with 200 employees and clients across 3 continents. He'd found his niche helping small businesses navigate the technology revolution, proving that second chances could lead to first-class successes. "The person who taught me the most about entrepreneurship," Bradley continued, "probably doesn't even know it. Marcus Chen, founder of Chen Dynamics, showed me that success isn't about who you know or how you start. It's about how you respond when life humbles you." Marcus felt Amanda's hand squeeze his shoulder. She'd arrived just in time to hear Bradley's words, slipping into the seat beside him. "He's come a long way," she whispered. "We all have," Marcus replied, thinking about the boy who'd once been devastated by a cruel laugh in a coffee shop after the presentation. The 3 of them approached Bradley backstage. Lily immediately attached herself to his leg, treating him like the beloved uncle he'd become over the years. "Great speech," Marcus said, shaking Bradley's hand. "Very honest, had to be. That's what made the difference." Bradley picked up Lily, who giggled as he spun her around. "Besides, someone once told me that the best revenge is success." Turns out he was right. Amanda laughed. "I think he said the best revenge is living well." "Same thing," Bradley grinned. "Speaking of which, Sarah wanted me to give you this." He handed Marcus a wedding invitation. Sarah Martinez Coleman, she'd kept her maiden name hyphenated, was marrying her environmental lawyer fiancé next month. The invitation was beautiful, elegant, and completely free of the desperation that had marked her last years with Bradley. "She's really happy," Bradley added. "They're perfect for each other. He's just as passionate about saving the planet as she is about sustainable fashion." Marcus studied the invitation, feeling nothing but genuine pleasure for his former girlfriend. "I'm glad she deserves happiness." "We all do," Amanda said, taking Lily from Bradley's arms. "Which reminds me we have news." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "We do?" Amanda's smile was radiant. "We're going to need a bigger house. Lily's going to be a big sister." The joy that flooded through Marcus was immediate and overwhelming. He swept Amanda into his arms, spinning her around as Bradley cheered and Lily clapped her hands. When Marcus asked breathlessly, "January, I found out this morning." As they celebrated, Marcus caught sight of his reflection in the backstage mirror. The man looking back at him was completely different from the heartbroken call center worker, who'd once believed his worth was determined by other people's opinions. Later that evening, as they walked across the campus where Marcus had once felt so lost and uncertain, he thought about the strange journey that had brought him here. The failures, the rejections, the moments of doubt, they'd all been necessary steps on the path to becoming the man he was meant to be. "Daddy," Lily said, tugging on his hand. "Uncle Bradley said you taught him about success. What did you teach him?" Marcus considered the question carefully. "I taught him that sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is having someone not believe in you. It forces you to believe in yourself." "Did someone not believe in you?" "Once upon a time, yes. But that's okay. It made me work harder and dream bigger." Lily nodded solemnly, as if filing away this wisdom for future use. As they reached their car, Marcus's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Marcus saw Bradley's speech online. "I know it's been years, but I wanted to say I'm sorry. For how I treated you, you were right about your dreams. Congratulations on everything." Sarah. Marcus showed the message to Amanda, who smiled. "Are you going to reply?" "I think so." Marcus typed back, "Thank you, Sarah. That means a lot. Congratulations on your engagement. Wishing you both happiness." Marcus. "And now we go home and start planning for our family's future." As they drove through the California hills toward their home in Palo Alto, Marcus reflected on the man he'd become. The boy who'd been laughed at for his dreams had grown into a man who helped others achieve theirs. The heartbroken young man had found a love deeper than he'd ever imagined possible. The last laugh, it turned out, wasn't about proving anyone wrong. It was about proving to yourself that you were worth more than anyone else's limited vision of your potential. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, that journey led you to everything you'd never known you wanted. The cherry blossoms were still falling as they drove home, like confetti celebrating not just what Marcus had achieved, but who he'd become along the way. What did you think of this thrilling journey? Share your favorite moment in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest tales. What kind of story would you like to hear next?